Welcome to In Heels with Keni Silva. Today's guest is California State Treasurer Fiona, who is also running for Lieutenant Governor of California, known for breaking barriers and a career dedicated to serving people. Today, she's going to share her journey, experiences that shaped the woman behind the title. Welcome, Fiona.
Thank you. Thank you, Keni.
When you were a little girl, Fiona, were you dreaming to be a politician?
Absolutely not. My parents came to this country, for the better life and wanted us to be one of the lead professions, lawyer, engineer, accountant, or a doctor. So I was good at math, so I'm the accountants. And that's what I thought I would be, working for one of the big firms, a partner. And then after 5 years working for one of the big firms, there were no women or people of color. So I left and started my own practice.
And you were already in California?
I was in California. Yep. Moved to California in 1988. And then at the age of 28 years old, started my own practice and became president of a small business association. So that's how I got involved, going to advocate for more women and minority small business owners.
Wow, that's fascinating. And when you started that, or you saw that there was not enough women, or there was a need for it, how far did you at the time thought you were going to go for? Or you just wanted to fix at the level you business?
I had no idea. Some of my clients were small business owners, and then I was representing small businesses. And my job was just to go advocate, but I had never been involved in the world of politics, never ran for any student body, anything growing up. And so all of a sudden, it's a new world for me. Who are these people? Why do they get to be in charge? They get to decide where the money goes, what laws to sign, court cases, appointments. And I started going, there's still not a lot of women and still not a lot of people of color. Why not? And so I started down that path trying to learn. I got involved.
How does it work? Okay, if somebody today wants to be in politics, do you fill out an application? What do you do?
Good question. Good question. Number one, I think if you're younger, then you can intern. I'm always, I've had 1,000 interns.
So you're looking for people right now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I have about 25 kids, young people that are interning with my office right now. And then later on, if you're an adult, you should go and get an appointment, because the federal, state, local, everybody needs people to sit on these committees, to oversee, to watch, to give their opinion. So a board or a commission, everybody's appointing. That's great for adults. And then if you're really serious, go to trainings. There's a lot of trainings now for women and people who want to get into politics. And then, of course, if you can get a job working for a legislator like myself, I got a job with Senator John Burton early on. That's one of the best ways to learn. And then if you're really still interested, call me. I will mentor you.
So obviously you are really interested in a politician career.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been 30 years now. So this is it for me.
And what do you think was the hardest thing being a woman in politics, or woman of color? Or at the time there was not that many women. I don't know if right now it's changing.
No. Well, it's changing a little bit. The legislature, California Assembly and Senate, we're almost at 50-50. Women to men. Okay. That has never happened in the history of California. So we are getting better through these training programs and these networks. But a woman in California, pretty much at every industry, as you probably would agree, it is really hard to break through the men barrier.
Yes. They have I call it, this world is a man's world.
It is. It is.
And especially in politics, where I think the ego behind politics is just not allowing men to look at women equally, that they can know something better or do something better.
Absolutely. It takes a very special man to say, hey, I want all of my people that I hire to be women because they work together, they make good decisions, there's no drama, whatever it is, there's no ego involved. But, most men, at all levels, Hollywood to lawyers to bankers to CPAs, every ethnicity. The men usually control the family, the money.
Yes.
Even if the women do, it's
which
behind
women
the scenes.
do.
We do, but
That's
we don't get
why
credit.
men is the head, woman is the neck, where neck turns the head looks. But they still think it's their idea.
Exactly. And women, we kind of let them pretend
I think
it's their
sometimes
idea.
it's just easier versus arguing and making a point like, no, that's me. You're like, you know what? You can think whatever you want, but I run this kingdom.
Yes.
But in politics, it's different because this is not a house where you can just close your eyes. You really have to be tough and confident.
Absolutely. You definitely have to be tough. This is a people business. So you need to like people. If you are an extrovert, I'm an extreme extrovert. This appeals to me. I need to see people to get energized. But if you're one that gets tired, you need to go and rest and read a book and decompress and get off your phone. This is going to be a very, very hard industry for you.
So what do you do to decompress? Or you don't need that? You just love being with people, meeting new people?
Yes, I like to be out and about. I don't sleep in the same place more than 2 nights. I'm always traveling. I'm always going and meeting and seeing and promoting everything that's good in California. So what do I do to decompress? Well, like tonight, I'm going to go see Mamma Mia.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love ABBA. I love Mamma Mia, the movie, and it's playing in downtown LA. And so that's how I decompress is I'm still with people and still seeing and still promoting, but it's something that I want to do. That's fun.
So let's go back to your career from being a CPA to starting this, politician career. When you started that, did you think you're going to go higher or you're just going to stay as a state treasurer, or how does the mindset works in politics? Because I guess you get consumed once you're in that position. You want to build more. You want to do more because you see there's so much potential, correct?
Yes. So for people like me, where you are helping people, you're meeting people, you're able to put the pieces together. That to me is challenging and gets me up every single day. But for those who care about money, for example, we don't get paid a lot. So this is really, government is really like a 20-year job. Hopefully you get a little retirement, but you would get healthcare for life. And healthcare is so important to me and my family. Growing up with a mom who had depression, I have a pre-existing condition, just accessing quality healthcare. So that to me is appealing. But if you want money, you like money, you're motivated by money, you want to buy things, this business is not for you.
Well, and that's what we people want. We want people who running this country, who running our state, who cares about people, not cares about their paycheck or what they're going to get out of the career. Because we all depend on you guys, on your laws. And, the last time I was listening to you, I actually didn't know that California is the 4th largest economy in the world.
Yes.
Which was shocking to me because I've heard before that California separates, it can be its own country.
Right.
But I didn't know we're so large. And you've been in that position of running all the money in California for so long. So thank you for helping us grow to that place.
Yeah. So it would be the US, China, Germany, and California. So we have $4 trillion GDP. I take in over $3 trillion into my bank every year. And then I fund and finance everything in California. So that's why I also have to go and check to make sure our money is being, put to good use.
And I wanted to ask you, because I noticed, which a lot of us do, that a lot of Californians actually live in California. And what do you think needs to happen for them to come back, or the businesses to come back? Because a lot of businesses are moving out of California.
Yeah. So I was just on the phone just right here about, another employer getting sued by their employees. There has to be some sort of change. Anybody who brings a lawsuit that has no skin in the game, then that's what's perpetuating these lawsuits because, win or lose. There's only the upside. And a lot of states don't operate like California. And so that's one big reason why a lot of companies are leaving is because of all of these frivolous lawsuits that are happening, including one that happened to me. So,
well, which is also crazy because my ex-husband, he had a company with, he still has a company with 500 employees. And one of the employees sued him because another employer called them a grandma, which she was a grandma. But I guess at the workplace, you're not allowed to say or call anybody a name besides their first and last name. And this is where you start thinking like, oh my God, like how can you even concentrate on work when you have to think about so many things, how you call it, how you address people. This becomes not a work space.
Yeah. So California is a lot different than our fellow states,
Yes.
Neighboring states. And so that's, I think one reason. Also, it takes too long to do things here compared to other states. If you're trying to open up a business, you're trying to, build a house, whatever it is, it just takes a lot longer here, and it shouldn't. It doesn't need to. And so that's one of the reasons.
Why do you think it takes us longer in California versus in other states?
Well, because other states, I think they understand that time is money, and they are very motivated to attract more businesses. And that means they have to do better. They have to be faster. They have to offer more incentives. And because I think we're California, we kind of ride on that California brand, saying, well, of course everyone wants to come to California. Why would they leave? But I'm a CPA, you're a businesswoman, you talk to a lot of people, people are leaving. And then housing. Also, if you cannot find affordable housing,
yes.
we can't attract some of the doctors and the teachers and the nurses to come here because it's just too expensive versus going maybe to another state where they can buy a big house. They may get paid less, but at least, they have more property. Whereas California, we're very, very dense. And so we have a lot of issues, good and bad.
Well, at least we have a good weather. That's why we still can attract so many people just because of that.
Yes.
Young adults, what would you recommend, since you handle so much money in California, what financial advice or lesson you would give them before they graduate?
Absolutely. So we just passed a law where there's going to be a mandatory 1 semester on financial education.
I love that, because having teenagers, and I always talk about this, and especially for women, they never prepare us financially. That's why I wrote a whole book, Divorce is an Opportunity, where I teach women how to be prepared.
Exactly.
Nobody tells us what to do. Somehow for men, they tell them, or they know it.
Right.
But women, children, they need to know how to do things.
And I think it starts at childhood,
Yes.
Like if you had a little boy, you'd be like, oh, go out and, get
Yes.
a paper route, go, shovel the snow or, mow a lawn. But they don't tell that to women.
Yes.
They just tell women, oh, stay home and bake
Yes.
and, play with the dolls, or,
You're going to be
stay
fine
home.
because you're going to get married.
Exactly.
And the problems will take care of itself.
No.
But it actually gets worse.
Yes. Yes. If you are not financially savvy and you depend on other people to run your money, pretty soon they're going to run your life. And they're not going to respect you. They're not going to treat you well. That leads to, domestic violence and divorces, bad divorces, where the women don't have custody of their kids. They can't afford a lawyer. The whole system is, against them. And so that's what I always say to young people, especially women. You need to know your finances. Yeah. You need to make sure you control your money. You have your own accounts. You have your own credit cards.
How
learn
many
how to
women
invest.
don't have their bank accounts? Because I coached them, and I'm like, the first thing I'm like, open your bank account. You're a grown-up woman.
I know.
My daughter already, she's 17. She has 2 bank accounts because I made it for her. I don't want them. Even my mom she raised me like a boy. So I knew all this. And because I came to this country at 19, I had to open a bank account.
Right.
There's so many women who were born in this country. They don't have their bank accounts.
Yep. And then that's a problem. And so then what happens is they get into financial trouble, which is why I'm working on this independent film to talk about the spiraling of women who became homeless. But she started out as a successful businesswoman, and then because of circumstances became homeless. And that is why I'm involved, and I want to get this message out. Another thing for young people, as soon as you go to college, people are going to offer you a free credit card. It is not free, as you know. Interest rates are what, 28% and higher? And then after $5,000, your limit, you reach your limit, and then they're like, pay it back. And now the kid is too embarrassed to tell their parents that they have a bill. And then they take out another credit card to pay that credit card. And then soon, their credit is going to be ruined for life sometimes.
And I tell my kids, because I give them an allowance every month. It's not a lot, but it teaches them to live within their means. And I tell them, because in this world, as you know, that's why I was fascinated with America. This is the only country when you can have it all without having the money, because it's always advertising, get a loan, get a credit card. But I always tell them, like, no, this is, your money. If you want to have more, you have to work for it.
Yes.
And then it doesn't create dependency on constantly catching up to that credit card debt, or, a lot of, I guess, people struggle with even college debt.
Yes.
Because that's the big one. A lot of times they spend their whole life paying it off.
Yeah. And I'm telling folks right now, we provide free community college for any first-time college goer. So if you don't know what you really want to do, go to community college. Get your 2-year degree, and then you can transfer. And many of these schools have an automatic transfer. If you do well, you can get automatically into a UC or a CSU. So look at those programs and don't take out this high student loan debt, because after you graduate, if you don't have a good paying job, you're never going to pay it off. It's going to stay on your credit. You're not going to be able to buy a home, all of that.
And I feel, especially now these days, before maybe, finishing Harvard and MIT, it was important and there was a prestige. I think these days people really look at what you're good at.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what college you're going to go, as long as you're good in what you do and you have the personality and experience. Because I tell my kids, I'm like, hey, just intern, like try it all out.
Yes.
And then you can pivot, and you don't have to go. Even I do want, my daughter is right now at the college level where she's going to apply to a lot of places. But I tell her, you don't have to go to UCLA or Harvard or Princeton. You just have to find something you love right now. You can always change it. It's okay. And that's why when you just said you can go to community college and get 2 years of free education and realize like what you actually want to do, it's amazing.
Yeah, and many of these community colleges are really doing cutting edge teaching curriculums because they're able to pivot a lot faster than the CSUs, the UCs, and others. So community college, I highly recommend. There's different specialties. We have 114 community colleges. So there's really no excuse for any person who is trying to find themselves.
Yes. And young generation, especially with all these new careers on, you ask a lot of kids, what do you want to be? I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a TikToker. There's new professions that you like, oh my God, sometimes I feel like a lot of colleges are going to close down because not that many people want to study for or have a need for it, unless you want to be a doctor or an attorney. That's completely different.
Yeah. So these colleges really have to pivot to accommodate what is happening in the real jobs today. I went to a school because they had required mandatory paid internships. That means all the companies came on campus. We all had internships and we all had jobs after. Because, that leads to, a pathway. Right now, like in California, there's no paid internships at the UC and CSU levels. So a lot of these kids get out and they're like, where do I go? Who do I call? Nobody's
But I think they also, that's another problem, I think, for young adults, that there is no real system how to get into their adulthood, how to get a job, because once they finish college, then they're like, okay, what do I do now? Like, do I call my parents to help me out, get a job or interview? They're not even at colleges these days. I don't think they teach them how to even get that interview.
Yes. And I would say, I know a lot of the kids don't want to do certain jobs. Whatever. Go work at McDonald's, go work at Starbucks. Learn how to run a cash register. Learn how to deal with people, right? How to have a boss, how to dress properly, how to get to work on time. All the things that these kids don't learn. And then they graduate from college. They've got bad habits. They don't know how to interview. They don't know how to work with people. And then they're going to be living at home with you, unfortunately.
But I feel it also comes from school, because my kids now middle school and high school, and it's the way the teachers don't teach them the respect for adults, for their parents. Like, I was never able to, and I grew up in Moscow in Russia. I grew up completely different, but it was a different system when I was born.
Yes.
And it just, you learn so much respect. You learn how to ask questions. You learn, my kids, don't know it. They're extremely respectful, but still it's a different, they treat an adult differently.
Yeah.
They don't know how to, even address things, or the teachers tell them like, oh, we're your friend. No, you're not. You're there to mentor them and to teach them. And what I also realized that they don't teach them consequences. They try to punish them for doing wrong, which I don't believe, because we all make mistakes.
Right.
We all come to this world to learn and be better. And they don't teach them how to overcome those challenges.
Right.
They just want to punish them, or with bad grades or whatever, instead of giving them an encouragement. You can do this better. This is the way to go.
Right. Right. No, I definitely think the way we were brought up also, I think was a little different, right? I mean, my parents, it's their home,
Their rules.
Their rules. And, if you didn't like it, you can move out. And that's not how kids are raised these days.
No, it's sadly. So the financial course you're talking about, is it going to be taught in high school?
High schools.
Oh, wow.
High school. So I think it's supposed to start in this year. They are training teachers to teach, because some of them are not, experienced. And
yes.
So there is groups.
So it's going to be mandatory, public, private, anywhere.
Mandatory, yes. Mandatory public schools, at least. Mandatory.
Okay, which is amazing, because I think this is much more important than a health talk. They did mandatory health talk in 4th grade, which actually confused so many children. And it's just a little bit too early. But the financial, I love that, because I see a lot of kids, like with my daughter, they start getting jobs, but they don't know even what to do with money. And they don't even know, it's like they teach them stocks and something. They have a class for that, but then they don't know how to apply it even.
An account, so you can buy a stock. But savings, I think, is number one. As soon as you can, start saving. Whether you're a parent, as soon as we were born, my parents started saving money for college.
Yeah.
We didn't have any student loan debt, and I had extra money that I bought a house at 22 years old. And that's because my parents started saving early. So I always tell parents, it's never too early or never too late to save. And even if you're young, you need to think about the future. You never know if there's going to be an unexpected accident or an illness, and then you're stuck because you haven't saved any money. What are you going to do, right? Max out your credit cards. That's going to put you more into debt, more stress. Your health is not going to get better anytime soon. So just keep saving for a rainy day.
And Mike we opened the 529 plan.
That's under me.
And okay, that's amazing. And somebody just told me, because my daughter was born in 2008, so it was the best year to start investing, and you can prepare so many years. So it grew. So she has enough money for college. But somebody just told me that the siblings can use that money?
Yes.
Before I knew the parents can use the money if they want to go study, but now it's the siblings can
use it too. Yeah, because people sometimes say, I don't know if my kid's going to go to college.
Yes.
Well, how about other siblings? And we are also able to roll any extra money into a 401k. But I really want to, like my case.
Yes. What is 401k for people who don't know what it is?
Okay. A 401k is a savings program, and you actually fund it yourself. So that's like your post-tax savings plan, like a Roth IRA.
Got it.
So,
and it grows tax-free?
Same kind of thing. You have to put it into investment vehicles, and there's different criteria and timelines, but you can actually, put in the account and decide, do you want to be aggressive? Do you want to be in international funds, green funds? So that is part of the 401k. So if you have extra scholarship 529 money, you can put it into 401k. But I really want to be able to put it toward a down payment for a house. That's
what I was about to say. I was like, oh my God, like imagine you have, maybe you didn't use the whole money. Now you have this money.
Yep.
And I don't want to give it to my sibling. I don't want to give it to my parents. Like it was meant for me. Why wouldn't it be? Because that's what a lot of new, families especially, once the kids create a new family and they have that support, that's amazing. A down payment for the house.
Exactly. It's 20%. Nobody saves that money. So anyway, it has to be a federal bill. So we have been working over these last 8 years on tweaking the program. So that is next on my list.
Because there's so many amazing programs that I think even people don't know. They're not aware of that.
Yes. What do you want to talk about? I got lots of them.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm all about it, especially because I teach women, how to overcome divorce and start all over. So what would you recommend for a woman just starting her life all over from divorce? Like how, even just financially or preparing herself during her marriage, besides opening the account, what else she can do? How does the whole IRA works?
Yeah, I think you need to have your own accounts and you have to have your own credit card because in case something goes wrong, you need to have cash and you have to be able to buy a new phone, for example, because you may have to shut down your phone. Your credit cards may be shut off. So you need to have your own lifeline or have friends. Let your friends entrust with the money in case you need it at some point, because some spouses are very watchful and possessive and obsessive. But make sure your name is on the assets. If you buy a house, is your name on the house, on the title of the house? Because otherwise, your spouse, your husband can take the house and say, sorry, your name's not on there. Right? So,
but you're also in the state of California, which actually, we are a community state. And so it means after 10 years, everything is 50-50. So you not just accumulate good things, you accumulate debt.
Yes.
Which is a scary part because especially for a woman who just a stay-at-home wife, a lot of times I realize a woman, they signed, if they do, joint tax returns, they just sign it, but they don't know what they're signing off.
Yes. And same thing with debt. Like your husband may take out a credit card in your name and then some...
or even a mortgage for the house.
Yeah. Someone may call you and say, hey, you owe on your credit card. You're like, what? I don't remember taking it. And you're scared because someone's calling you, a tax collector. So you start paying, then that's your debt now. It's your debt. So like you said, assets and debt, they're both commingled, in a community property state.
And do you think, is there anything in the future that can protect or divide? I mean, of course, when you're married, it's hard to say like, okay, well, he took it out, but a lot of men take it out for business and a woman's still stuck with that debt.
Yes. Educate yourself.
Yes.
Surround yourself with good financial people, CPAs, financial analysts, right? And make sure that you're asking the questions because a lot of women, we are embarrassed to ask these questions because we don't know. But there are people that know, and you should ask them and say, listen, what should I be doing? And we love to give advice because that's what we are. We're women. We like to share and build community. So just ask us.
Well, I even tell all the women, regardless if they think about divorce or not, go visit, family attorney.
Yes.
Especially if you as a woman want to start your own business, how that will affect if you guys are going to break up, because a lot of people don't know that your husband will be entitled to half of your business.
Yep.
And everything you worked for, now you have to share with your ex-husband.
And when the men file for palimony, that they want to get paid.
Oh my God.
And we're the ones that are working and we're the ones that are having a difficult time making it, jumping through all these barriers and challenges and prejudice and discrimination, yet they want us to pay them.
Yeah.
But
alimony. It's like, and okay, we're in the state where everything is equal. Let's put it this way. If they, if happens, he was a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home dad, I understand. But what also, I think a lot of people don't realize that, especially for women, that, besides starting a business and being a woman is already so hard. And somehow a lot of, I feel people still feel that it's embarrassing to go to a family attorney or ask any attorney, you go to an attorney to start the business. Why wouldn't you go to a family attorney to see how that business will be split or divided if something happened? There's nothing embarrassing about that because it's like going to the doctor. You're not going to be diagnosed with cancer. You're just going for a regular checkup. That's totally fine.
Yeah. So these days, with AI and, ChatGPT and others, Gemini, I ask it a lot of questions that normally I would maybe have to talk to an attorney and pay money. So use those tools to educate yourself, whatever it is. I mean, I use it all the time saying, hey, I'm thinking about buying a business. How should I set it up? Or, how should we structure it? And then I go talk to my attorney and my lawyers, but at least I have a background.
You saved already 10 hours of bills.
Exactly.
Oh my God, this is such an amazing idea, because I remember myself going through divorce, and a lot of times I wouldn't call my attorney at $700 an hour because like I ask a silly question.
Right.
And back then there was no AI, there was no ChatGPT. And now, which is so true, with all this technology, you know, you can save so much time and money by just structuring it out. Like, okay, this is what I want.
Yep.
And this is, again, comes to that I don't think they teach our children how to ask those questions or to think in advance.
Yeah. I mean, but that's why it's important that our young people are still learning the way we learned, right?
Yes.
Talking to their teachers, you know, sharing ideas and not just looking at YouTube videos all the time, because the kids aren't really learning how to communicate and how to.
I think it's actually getting worse.
It is getting worse. I can see the
know
difference in the brain.
Meet.
Yeah.
They don't know how to meet each other. And now with all this, you know, like dating apps, people meet each other online, but they can't carry a conversation just like me and you.
Right. Right. Yep. I think it's kind of going to go back, because these days, you know, with AI and all these tools, you know, employers are looking for people, real people, who can communicate, look you in the eye, can solve problems, can think outside the box. And a lot of these kids, they've been programmed just to get straight A's, get a lot of AP classes, you know, score perfectly on their SATs, get a 4-year degree. And that's not what employers are looking for anymore, because there's too many people, you know, like that. And they want someone who's personable, who can communicate, right? Who can work with people, bring people together.
I also noticed that, like, the other day, 2 weeks ago, my freezer broke. And I realized that it's so hard to find people who actually fix things. You know, with all this AI generated things and all these kids who want to be a YouTuber or a TikToker, the people who actually do manual labor is hard to find.
Yeah. I do think it's reversing. It's going the other way again.
Because I've been with no freezer for 2 weeks because it's hard to get, you know, a person in. Then it's hard to get all these parts. I'm like, oh my God, like I can do all these other amazing things that I don't really need, but I just need, you know, basically a handyman.
Right. Right. But AI can't do that.
AI cannot do that.
So it could do certain things, but it can't do like the physical. And I think the kids, young people are learning. They're like, why should I go into debt 4 years for a piece of paper if I can't pay it off and I'm not going to get a job? So the trades are doing, you know, a lot of pre-apprenticeship programs in the schools now, just exposing young people to different career paths that hopefully that they will have good, sustainable, high-paying jobs.
What do you think about, you know, now we're in this beautiful California. Where do you see California is going actually? What do you think is coming for California in terms of businesses? What businesses you want to come in?
Yeah, we want all sorts of businesses, right? You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because look what happened with Hollywood. We used to be highly dependent on Hollywood, and now they're filming in different states and different countries, and we've pretty much lost, you know, that whole
But it's because
industry.
the tax credits that all these countries are giving away.
Well, exactly. And so I'm hoping that our elected officials understand that we need to compete against these states and other countries. And we cannot rest on our laurels and expect that people are going to come here and put up with it, okay? Or come here and pay more taxes, come here, you know, not being treated well. So that's what I'm hoping. And California, we speak over 250 languages. We are the melting pot. We want to support and protect everyone here, unlike other states. That's why people come here hungry. They want to work. They want that California dream. But if it is not attainable because of all different reasons that we're talking about, then they're going to leave. But of course, they'd love to come here. If we just need to tweak some things in California to make it more hospitable, livable.
Yeah. What about safety?
Things are costing a lot more. Safety is also an issue, right?
I feel like after pandemic, the world just changed.
It did.
And especially California, and I live in Newport Beach, which is very safe place. But even there, and I'm not even talking about LA because it's scary sometimes, especially in the evening times, or you don't wear, things you used to.
Right. Can't be flashy, can't be showy, otherwise
Yes.
it brings attention to yourself.
It brings attention, but it also, because I feel like there's not, you don't feel support or protection from the police.
Yeah. I don't think it's not so much protection from the police. That's their job.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're overworked. They're not, they have a hard time filling the positions in some of
Do
these.
you think that not that many people now go into?
No, they don't want to go into law enforcement. I mean, there's so much controversy,
Yes.
being on social media,
Yes.
everybody's recording. So
Which is hard. And I understand them because they're there to protect them. There's certain times when they have to do their job.
Yeah.
And now with everything being recorded, exactly, people twist and turn, and sometimes, it's hard for them.
Well, in law enforcement, they're wearing cameras now themselves so that they can record. So they're not dependent on, just the public recording and picking out what they want to see. And unless you see the whole thing and you're there, right, you don't know. You're only getting a bit and a piece of it. And that's not really fair.
Which is also with AI, so many careers that changed, right? Even being a police officer, it puts so much pressure on them.
It puts pressure on all of us.
On all of us.
I mean, AI, with
cameras and I even tell my kids, I'm like, you know what? I was happy born where I was because at your age, whatever I did, nobody would ever know.
Yeah.
You have to be extra careful
Yes.
because now colleges look at it.
Yeah.
Your future, job is going to look if there's something extra. And I guess maybe with their generation, they don't think of it as something extra. They have to watch out because they're born with it.
Yeah.
But to me, there's no carefree enjoyment anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm also working on fentanyl awareness because too many young people are ordering or buying drugs from people on the street. And much of it is laced with fentanyl or a derivative now that is highly, highly addictive. So I'm working with
which is amazing because, the other day I learned that, now this industry is big on peptides and all these things. There's so many you can order online.
Yes. Yes. Everything you can order online and you don't know.
And they don't even ask for your ID if you're a minor. And I'm like, I'm even curious what's in there.
Yeah.
Because they can totally put drugs in there to make you, addicted to it. And then start, asking you for more money just to send you more.
Exactly. You have to be very, very careful what you order off the internet. So, if you're going to, pick up your prescriptions, I know it could be a little more expensive. You have to wait for your doctor.
Yes.
But pick it up from a certified licensed pharmacy. Don't go the cheap route. Buy it online. Go to different places, from not reputable people because you just never know what's in there.
Yeah, no, you have to be very careful. Who's Fiona when she's not in politics? What do you love to do? Or, I'm pretty sure when you're with your family, do you talk about politics too?
No. No. I like to play Rummy Cube. I don't know if you...
No.
Yeah. So I have a group of friends that's what we do to relax. And, you're playing games. You're not on your phone. I also like to watch Korean dramas on Netflix because I have to put down the phone so I can follow the captioning, the English captions. So that's kind of the way I relax is I have to find ways to get rid of my phone.
I think we all these days will learn how to live without the phone. And how to, even for me, watching the movies sometimes can be tricky because your mind is so used to all this scrolling and replacing.
Yes.
And unless the movie is exceptional, it's hard to be 2 hours not picking up the phone.
Yep. Yeah. So that's kind of how I relax. And, I like to sing karaoke and go see shows.
But being a politician, it's basically a 365-day job.
It is.
There is no I'm going to go on vacation.
Yeah, I don't like vacation. I like to
So you're workaholic. You love to work.
I do. And I like to stay here in California.
Well, thank God for our weather. And you can ski and you can go to the beach. You can do it all.
That's right. So I was in Vegas this morning and I'm here and I'm going to be eating in Koreatown, seeing Mamma Mia tonight downtown. And then I'll be flying back up north tomorrow morning. So
what is something you think people don't know about you, but you would like them to know?
I think now politics is getting harder and harder. Before it was an honorable profession to run and represent your peers, your constituents. And now there's so many like negative people, they don't even show their face. You don't even know who they are, just attacking you every single day for just trying to do the right thing. So I would say it's not easy to run for office. I thank the people who continue to run for office. I think people think it's too easy, right? We had 60 candidates running for governor. Being governor of the state of California is not an easy job, but 60 people think that they can run the state of California. And so, hard work matters, facing, every day it's a challenge and you have to learn how to fight and have a thick skin.
Just being the fact, I'm responsible for 2 children and a lot of nights I can't fall asleep because their problems become mine.
Yeah.
Here you have a whole state.
Yeah.
This is not something you can just be like, you know what, I'm off. Yeah. Like I would imagine it's a constant stress thinking about all these things that's, it's not easy this is not an easy career, I guess, for a lot of people if they think in terms of just to have that title.
Yeah. No.
It's really, you have to be built for it.
You have to be built for it, yes. And people always say, wow, you're so tough. How do you deal with it? Well, it's been 30 years. And so if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, essentially.
I love that. I always say that. And I say, yes, your skin is probably so thick right now. So you're just resilient. You're bulletproof.
It's pretty thick. When I first started, it wasn't like this. But I don't
Was there a moment where you wanted to give up?
Oh, there's always moments. There's always moments. Like, is it worth it?
What do you tell yourself or because we all in life, there's moments even for me when I'm like, you know what, I'm done. And then there's something like that clicks. I'm not done. I'm going to be even stronger. They will watch me now. Like, exactly. What is it for you? How do you overcome this?
Well, the same thing. If you're going to be done, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? Like, I love what I do, even though it's hard and stressful a lot of the times, but there's nothing else I want to do.
You don't want to go back to just being have a big
No. I don't
or write a book. I don't know. A lot of politicians write a book.
No, people always say that. Like, oh, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do a documentary on you. I'm like, oh, why? Like, just follow me on social media. You can see what I care about, what I like. And so, I don't know. This is my passion and my calling. So.
Which is, I think, is so important for anyone to find their passion and calling, because then I believe you can work 24 hours a day because it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
You're just living your life.
Yeah. And I feel like people who have depression, they don't have a reason to get up. There's nothing that they feel that is motivating them. But I do feel like what motivates people and gives them a sense of purpose is helping other people.
Yes.
Doing something for others, not for themselves, but doing something for others.
Which is the most fulfilling, job. And I've been through so many things and I'm on the board of so many charities. And I realize for me, when I see what I can do to change others people's lives or even improve a little bit, that's a fulfillment you get that no materialistic things will ever give you.
Yeah.
And, for you, that's your whole job is just serving people, which I admire and I honor you. And I want to thank you so much, Fiona. Unfortunately, we are at the end of our show and it was amazing conversation. Thank you so much for coming and educating us on so many things. And we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona.
You.